my name is Reverend Ryan Alexander, and we are Soul Evolution Collaborative, and this is Strip Down Sunday. This is our weekly offering where we provide nothing but the tofu, or the meat of our weekly topics. So everything that you could ever want to know about this community and more can be found on our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. So jump on the website and check out all the fun things we have going on. So it's communities just like this one who are dedicated to creating intentional spaces of connection and belonging. And so if this in any way speaks to you and you would like to help support this evolving ministry, donations can be made through the donate button found on our website. All right, so let's jump in. This month we're taking a closer look at ecological consciousness. Now, this may be a new concept or even a new language. It was for me. So it's important to start at the beginning. And there is no beginning better than defining. So that's where we're going to start. So what does it mean to have ecological consciousness? And is that different from ecological awareness? Or can these two ideas be understood as interchangeable? All right, so let's start with ecological awareness. This tends to refer and kind of have a high focus on education or knowledge. So to become aware in this sense is to learn or become better informed about how our actions impact our environment, the natural world, and the ecosystems that are contained in it. So we know that the first step in any change or shift of belief system is a framework of awareness. So awareness is what sets us on the path. And so by becoming more aware of our impact, we can begin to shift our actions in ways that provide alternative approaches that serve to protect our natural environment. So awareness becomes the spark to doing things differently. Ecological consciousness is different. It's more nuanced, and it kind of goes a step further. To have ecological consciousness refers specifically to a way of being. It's not focused necessarily on becoming better educated in the field of ecology and sustainability, but instead it speaks to a different way of approaching or perceiving or experiencing or even interacting with the natural world around us. It's a space that we live from, and a space that is tapped into the truth that we are inextricably connected to Earth, the universe, the very building blocks of life itself. And so when we're living from this space, the natural response is a respect for nature and all the things that exist within it. And even more than respect, there's this deep communion with, a beautiful divine entanglement. Ecological consciousness becomes an internal process, an abiding understanding of our relationship to the natural world, not as something that exists outside of ourselves, but instead as something that we live and move and act within. And so this understanding then becomes the lens by which we see everything, and this lens creates a deep connection to all aspects of life, even those we can't tangibly see in front of us. And so this is a space where we get a front row seat to the universal principles of wholeness and oneness. So Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, wrote, "Enlightenment is your natural state of felt oneness with being, is a state of connectedness with something immeasurable and indestructible, something that almost paradoxically is essentially you and yet is much greater than you." So in essence, this idea of developing ecological consciousness is less about learning a new idea and more about returning to our natural state of being, our natural state of connection, our natural state of wonder, our natural state of connection, community, and belonging. Not just to ourselves, but belonging to the whole of life, the natural world, that innate sense just urges us to return back. And so I don't know about you, but I have gotten a little sidetracked, and I've bought into, okay, I'm going to say it. I have in the past, and it creeps up still, bought into this lie that I am separate from all that I see. This separation can be seen in the consumer mindset, the buy more, the get more, the do more, and it can be felt in this isolation that we feel, even in the midst of the hustle and bustle of our everyday lives. We have forgotten that this innate hardwiring for responsibility to something, responsibility to ourselves, to others, the natural world, this thing that we're a part of, the earth, the universe that we are within. Christopher Ohl, in his book, Developing Ecological Consciousness, speaks to this idea that we don't live on earth, but instead in earth. that the land and the air and the atmosphere make up Earth, and we are literally living in all of it. And so when we're able to acknowledge our responsibility to and connection with the natural world, this connection then serves as a guiding force, a barometer for engagement, and maybe even a catalyst for building systems that are mutually sustainable to all, not just from the space of surviving, but thriving. So our first steps in that direction is to become more aware of our current attitudes and activities. So let's start now, why not? Over the coming week, begin to make note of small changes that you can make in your daily routines that may serve to protect the natural world around you. You know, sometimes it's just stopping and noticing that provides these insight into these little changes that create these huge shifts. And before we know it, our perspective has changed, and we move from actualization of a world, just thinking about it, to actually actualizing a world that works for all. So developing an ecological consciousness brings us closer to this actualization. It's more than platitudes, it's more than idealization, it's more than just wishful thinking. This way of being in the world literally shifts everything. It shifts our thoughts, our words, our actions. So the more we become aware of our connection with all things, the seen and the unseen, the more we lean into our connection with one another. So ecological consciousness becomes the great way shower that we're not alone. Our actions are not without impact, even the smallest of decisions. We are so interconnected to the world around us. When it thrives, we thrive. When it's degraded, we feel the effects. Our existence is interdependent with one another, with the earth, the very universe itself, and even beyond what we can imagine. So the Centers for Spiritual Living is an organization that we're a part of, has a global vision. And with a renewed understanding of our connection, and we're emboldened by this ecological consciousness that moves beyond recycling the odd can or glass bottle, we can begin to live from this space, live from this vision. And this is the vision. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship and all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to the further emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each person has enough food, a home and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love, the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We envision a world that truly works for all.